What's good, y'all? Messy Hair Mercury back at it again. This is a broadcast from Mercury himself. What's Gucci, y'all? GEMiNi the ALCHEMiST just left the building, actually. It's raining outside. It's beautiful. They cutting all my trees down. Kind of upset about it, but I'm gonna let it be what it is, and maybe they'll make something beautiful. It looks kind of cool, with like all the water filling up, like the gaps in the earth and everything. So today's video is going to be about creating your own personal universe and why that's so important. I haven't even written an essay on this topic yet, but I felt it impressed upon my spirit to make this video this week. So bear with me as I formulate this thought and clearly express it to you. So in my video about spirituality, and even in my most recent video as well, I discussed astrology and looking to bodies of energy that are beyond you, that are scientifically known to impact your consciousness and how you behave, for whatever type of insight or information you're able to derive from it. The more you get to know that aspect of your cosmology, is the more that you'll start to realize correlations and relations outside of yourself. So with that being said, as well as inside of yourself, but as far as being inside of yourself, right, what does that mean? There's multiple ways to be in yourself, right? So you can be in your body, you can be in your mind, you can transcend your mind through meditation or through some type of psychedelic or herb, even not even or drug. Like there's ways to do that beyond beyond this video's discussion even. So whatever that means for yourself, right, you have to create the world that you go into, right? People make astral traveling seem weird and crazy. People make it seem like you have to be like super zenned out and reach this weird state of enlightenment that's really nuanced and new agey or whatever to really go somewhere with your mind. But really, when you close your eyes and think about something, that's where you are, right? So if you're not cultivating your creative universe, what do you see when you close your eyes? What do you see when you dream? Most likely a program, right? If you're not creating yourself, you're probably being created by your environment, right? Like these bulldozers that came in and just knocked out these trees. Are you coming in and knocking out the weeds? Are you knocking out the trees that are in the way of your better view? Are you just letting them all grow up to be what they are because, oh, that's what it is and that's what life gave me and these are the cards I was dealt? Just because you were dealt shit cards or just because you were dealt the cards doesn't mean that in whatever game you're playing, you might not be able to give your cards back, right? In some games, you can take your cards and be like, fuck all these cards. I want to have them redealt to me. You can do that, right? We all have heard of ego death. But it's made to seem like this crazy thing, just like a lot of other spiritual concepts that are misconstrued to be all sorts of complicated. Ego death is just recognizing, damn, I don't want to be like this anymore, and changing that, right? So you don't have to have some devastating experience to do that. You can do that gradually. You can do that over time. When you realize, damn, I want to look stronger and be bigger, you can go, okay, well, what do I need to do that? I can do 100 push-ups at home, and I can start going to the gym on top of that, right? You build the habits and the routines. So people go, I want to get bigger, I'm going to start doing push-ups. Anyone can realize, all right, I can go get a gym membership. Whether they take action or not, they know the first step. When a lot of people are like, I want to be better, they don't really know where to start. And some people might not even go read a self-help book because they might be from some environment where that's strange to them, right? One of my old roommates is a dude that grew up in the hood. Dude grew up in street gangs and shit. I had How to Win Friends and Influence People. Like, I was reading it, and he was like, nigga, that shit's weird, bro. Like, what is this? Like, get that the fuck out of here. He was like, bro, this is a book that is highly regarded by some of the world's most powerful minds. But you just read the title, and you're like, oh, that's a self-help book. That's fucking weird. You must be a weirdo if you need to work on yourself. That's the most ignorant, one of the most ignorant conversations I've had with anyone at that point in time. Like, dude didn't even read the back of the book. Like, sorry, I kind of grew up in the house. Actually, fuck sorry. I grew up in the house by myself. I was a latchkey kid. I walked home from school and let myself in. I made myself my snack. I taught myself the discipline to actually get my work done. And then I just played video games by myself. I wasn't going nowhere because my mom was concerned about my whereabouts, so I'd stay in the house. So I had to teach myself social skills. I had to raise myself in a lot of ways on the internet or with books and things of that nature. So that's by default how I learned to teach myself. I had to learn to be my own teacher. But you have to learn to be your own creator, right? You cultivate yourself, right? Like you wouldn't pour Gatorade on a beautiful plant that you have, right? So why would you not be concerned with what you consume or cultivate what you consume? Ultimately, that's the very beginning of building your creative universe, right? If you want to build yourself to be your world to be what you want it to be, first you have to be able to conceptualize that. You have to be able to have the information to conceptualize that. For example, a lot of people talk about visualization, especially in the popular new agey side of YouTube and the internet. It's like, oh, you want to be spiritual? You want to manifest everything you want in life? All right, just sit down and close your eyes and think about it. All right, you want a McLaren. Have you ever gone to the store and sat in a McLaren before? How are you going to visualize what it feels like and what it smells like without putting yourself in that position? Have you thought about what color that car is going to be? It's hard to visualize something that you haven't like written down and thought out. So part of building your creative universe is goals, setting the goals and getting the information to even understand what it would take to attain that, so you can visualize doing that part. Right? You don't just visualize the outcome, you also need to visualize the work that it's going to take to get there, so that you are preconditioned to be able to do that. So if you want to be a powerful speaker, what are you doing in your life to be a powerful speaker? If you want to be highly creative, you can't just go, oh fuck, I'm not creative, I don't feel creative today. Well, if you want to be creative every day, you'd probably be creating every day. So did you make something today? Did you draw today? Have you taken inspiration from nature today? Or did you just go, damn, I don't feel creative, and then started consuming what someone else created? Now, if that's something that might fuel you to create what you want to create, or to be able to visualize what that means or what that looks like, then by all means. Then by all means. However, when it comes to building your creative universe, you need to be detailed. I'm currently working on anthropomorphizing aspects of my own nature, giving them characters, associating them with chakras, associating them with a yin and a yang component, so that I can recognize that aspect of myself, not to get lost in caricatures, right? Like, I might tell some people when I meet them in the street, if I don't really know where my relationship with them is going to go, or if I'm feeling particularly artistic that day, or whatever the case, I might introduce myself as Gemini over Nathaniel. I'm not going to get lost in Gemini. Gemini is an aspect, right? Gemini is an expression. Gemini is not who I am as a core being, right? That's why sometimes I don't like it when people call me delusional, because the whole point, the concept of delusional is that I'm used to people calling me that because I have a different perspective than 99.9% of people, right? I'm not going to allow myself to be brainwashed or to be manipulated or to be controlled by some external source when I see that shit coming a mile away. Why would I watch the news if I can find a better source on the internet that doesn't redact elements of it or edit it or has some type of corporate gain for themselves, for example? So I feel like with this video, I'm really just discussing the topic at large. So like I said, bear with me. You're going to have to formulate the elements of this that stick with you and that apply to you or resonate with you. But don't get lost into the creative universe. You have to recognize reality, but you have to understand that you can retreat within, right? When you build your imagination, you are a powerful spirit. When you were a kid and you'd be coming up with little characters and you had imaginary friends and all of those things, that's when you were the most creative. So if you want to be more creative, if you want to be able to build your own creative universe, you have to create more, create all the time. Come up with a character and give it a name. It doesn't have to be the character you stick with. It doesn't have to be your avatar, but just start building a universe, and they have different powers and abilities. And if you already create something, you realize you'll naturally do this, right? I've been talking about Gemini and flight, and I got my jetpack and all sorts of that stuff like that. forever, things that associate with the air elements in my own cosmology. And naturally, I manifest friends who have similar ways of expressing themselves, but also like on that particular wavelength. My boy Tej has been out here since day one talking about we up, we out here using the rocket ship emojis when I'm Gemini rocket ship commander himself, Gemini Starlight. So because I have these nuanced elements of my own creative expression, I'm able to ground into them. Like when I feel really flighty, when I feel super airheaded or whatever, I'm able to go, oh, well, this is part of my nature. This is something I've always been like. My whole life, I've walked in the other room to get something and been like, how did I get here? What was I getting again? Grab the wrong thing. Completely wrong thing. Do something completely different. Come back in. And then Shawty's gonna be like, did you grab the remote? And I was like, I didn't even remember I was doing that shit. I just took flight. I just went on a whole loop back around, went back to the center, went on an orbit, quickest orbit around the sun, and I'm ready to get to the next one, Mercury in motion. Sometimes it can be really dark on one side of Mercury and really cold, or always, I guess, and really hot on the other side. I'm able to recognize those aspects of my own mind to go, yeah, no, damn, I resonate with that. Like, I can't contest that shit. That's real accurate. And then I'm able to anthropomorphize it. I'm able to bring it to life in some type of way to express that, to be able to accept that more within myself, to be able to go, okay, let that shit go. Stop judging myself for flightiness, airheadedness, any things of that nature, because it doesn't take away from my sheer intelligence. If that was the case, you wouldn't be sitting here watching this video still. Thank you so much for that. Friendly reminder to hit the like button. I know sometimes on banger videos, it can be hard to remember to do that when you getting lost in the moment of just how fire the knowledge being dropped is, or the information, or how well you relate. So step one, in my opinion, that you can leave this part alone if you ain't fucking with astrology. But step one is to just look up your astrology chart. You will be amazed by the sheer depth of other aspects than just your sun sign. See relations, see correlations, write them down, and just start creating more, start drawing more. Be like, damn, I've never made a beat before and I've been recording music forever. Make a beat. See what type of vibration you want. You might notice, oh damn, I be making these grungy ass dark beats all the time. Maybe you got something to work on in yourself. I'm making dark trap beats my whole life. I've been making spiritual warfare music my whole life. I'm trying to transcend. I am working on transcending that, to be on higher vibration than that. But I'm able to recognize and cross-reference from what I create to things in my life. Whether it's intentional creation, because I chose to create, or whether I was motivated to be creative in that moment. The more I show up to do the work to be creative, the more I show up to do the work on understanding myself better. Because those things are mutually exclusive and often are the same thing at once. I can say I'm a master building my creative universe. That same roommate I mentioned earlier, who wasn't fucking with the self-help book, had a very similar philosophy himself, and it was very inspiring to be near. No differently than creators I watch like Dolo the Pilot Man, and show up and you can tell just by looking at him like, damn, he got himself fully creatively figured out. A powerful spirit is when you can feel someone's energy when you're not when you're not even in their presence. Right? A powerful spirit's when someone's sitting across the room and you're like, I'm not gonna fuck with that dude. Now, that might be because of his experiences. He might not have chosen to cultivate himself into a badass motherfucker. He might have been chosen to do that by his environment. So if you have the opportunity and the desire to create, and the space to create, the love to create, you're ultimately creating yourself. So when you think about it through that perspective, or whether you recognize it through that perspective, you're able to do more intentional work with your creation, and you're able to recognize when something you're creating is something that you want to be expressing, or if it's something that you need to figure out more. Like I made a character for Gemini, or an aspect of Gemini that I call the soul leader, because like I mentioned earlier, have spent so much of my life just being alone or indoors or with very particular friends, with a small group of friends, or one really good friend, two really good friends, whatever the case of time may be. Because of that, I've noticed, like, when I go spend time with other people, or when I go spend time with even those particular people, I feel my own energy change, because it's such a radical shift to have a new person's energy that I feel like I'm able to discern what aspects I don't want to be like, what aspects I do want to be like. And I feel like I apply those things really quickly, because I see a new way to express oneself that I haven't experienced before, and I'm able to relate that and apply that to my own creative expression, and then I'm able to broadcast that in any way, shape, or form that I choose and elect and evoke even. So I started writing out that character the other day, and I was giving him a cloak where one half, instead of being white and black, the black side had a white lotus, kind of like the yin yang. The black side has the white circle, and then on the white side, instead of giving it like one black element, it's covered in black eyes. And that's related to angelic natures, Ophanim natures. That's a whole different video. That's a whole aspect of one's spiritual journey that's still being realized and understood. However, like, as I built this character out and able to give him a mask and choose like which side of the mask would be the black side, which side would be the right side, black side, white side, whatever. And then I was able to like give these things titles. And so now, naturally, you're probably going to learn more about that just by listening to my music, because it's relevant to me, and because I have created that, and I have defined that, and have established a structure. Now I have literally made in spirit, in my soul, my creative self, in my mind, my right brain, I have now built a structure to stand on and express from. I'm able to then now channel virtue into each one of these things, and now adorn virtue, similarly to in the Bible where it talks about like the breastplate of righteousness and things of that nature. You can make your own breastplate of righteousness. What virtue do you stand on? Are you even wearing armor? Is it a cloak? Is it an invisibility cloak? Then that gets into you just expressing aspects of your nature. Now, next thing you know, you went from feeling like, damn, I'm not creative, to now you have a whole character. Now you have superpowers. Now those things relate to aspects of your physical self, whether you chose to or not. It's often it's funny how these things manifest without you even realizing, because you're just expressing yourself, and you're expressing yourself from something deeper and further than your mind. Like I mentioned earlier, you have your body, you have your mind, then you have your soul, right? Then you have layers to that, right? Then you got chakras, and then we got a whole new video to make. So at the end of the day, the beginning of the day, at points where you feel bored or stagnant, start creating more, start drawing, start doodling. Don't give a fuck about posting it. Don't think about posting it unless you choose to. Don't worry about being judged, because you don't have to share that with anyone. You don't want to. Put it in your journal. I got into drawing again recently, within the last couple months, by just drawing alongside journal entries I had. And then next thing I knew, I was making characters and getting into the deeper stuff naturally, just off of my own intuition and what my spirit led me to do. So my spirit was leading me to make this video this week. Thank you so much for watching this video in its entirety. I do plan to write an essay on this, which will probably turn into a Twitter thread as well as a post in my Discord server. So if you want to check out my Discord server, I have lots of gems in there. I've written about manifesting energy, whether that's in the form of currency or whether that's in the form of energy to go out and manifest your dreams and your goals and desires. Got some essays in there, got some courses and ebooks and stuff on how I've been able to amass over 60,000 followers for my personal brand, over 100,000 followers for clients, and over $400,000 in client results and sales, 300 of which coming from one client. So lots of value to offer there. My Discord server is free. If you're resonating with this knowledge, you're one of the first 100 people to join, and you're interested in diving deep on any of these topics with me, please go check it out. I'd love to have you in there and communicate with you, and get to know who you are and where you're at in your journey, and how we can benefit each other best, whether that's fraternity or simply in exchanging knowledge and having good conversations, which ultimately is fraternity. So I think that's all for today's video. Friendly reminder to take deep breaths into your diaphragm. Friendly reminder that everything is frequency and vibration, regardless of how you look at it, regardless of how you feel it, or regardless of how you're able to define that in any way, shape, or form. I might take that person's advice and go play in the rain a little bit. Go get some energy washed and freed. So with that being said, peace and prosperity. Happy Jupiter Day. Hope you're expanding into something beautiful for you. And I hope you have a wonderful day.